What is up, guys? Eli is here, back from the dead. Didn't do any videos for about 2 weeks. I'd been pretty consistent up until that point, but I don't know, man. I've just been kind of down about some shit, and I prefer to only make videos when I'm, in a decent mood. I don't want my, my shittiness, my shitty mood to, come out through my videos. So I guess I feel okay today. I really wanted to make this video either way. Got some pretty cool shit to show. Couple new releases from this year, which I've been kind of lacking in acquiring. Got some really cool, at least to me, some cool record store finds. When you go to the record store with not really anything in mind, and you find some shit that you thought you wouldn't, that you didn't expect to see, and you've, been wanting in your collection for a long time. It's always fun. But I got a nice mix of stuff. I got mostly CDs, but I got a vinyl record. I got a DVD. Watching a lot of horror movies right now, which is not unusual for me. It's almost all I watch anyways, but it's October, so, that's mandatory for all of us. Also picked this up at Target the other day. Saw it in their toy section, and I was like, yes. One of my favorite horror characters of all time, as you guys might know, Mr. Pinhead. NECA has been doing this series called Toony Terrors. They've been doing it at least since last year. A bunch of like slasher characters. Jason Voorhees. They even have some newer stuff like The Nun from that Nun movie, whatever. Is it just called The Nun? I don't know, I didn't see it. So yeah, man. I've already been asked if I'm going to open this up or not. I always love the idea of keeping toys in the box, but man, I usually end up taking them out because I just have to. Plus, as you can see, he's got his puzzle box right there, and it needs to be in his hands. So it would be kind of lame to leave him in the package, I feel like. So what do you guys think I should do? Should I open them up? I think I probably will. And in searching for new horror movies to watch this month, I kind of picked this up randomly, just totally random find at a local media store. This is a Spanish film called Shiver. So there's people that worked on this movie that worked with Guillermo del Toro on Pan's Labyrinth, as it shows on the front, and The Orphanage, apparently. I didn't know anything about this movie going into it. I still haven't watched it, but I really like what I read, and I'm stoked to give it a watch. Maybe tonight I'll check it out. Read some pretty good reviews on like IMDb, and if you guys have seen it, let me know what you think. Today I picked up this kind of a rough copy, but it sounds fine. 1973 album from Uriah Heath, Sweet Freedom. I've been working on getting Uriah Heath stuff the last couple years. Still don't have a lot of it, but a lot of ringware there, as you can see, but like I said, it sounds fine. Nice gatefold there. Lyrics and song titles. Haven't heard that album. I have heard your early Uriah Heath as well as some later stuff, but that's like I think it's like their third or fourth album, and I've never heard it. So yeah, we'll get on to some 2020 releases here. Like I said, I've not picked up very many this year so far, so I know there's been a lot of good stuff, but I'll get it when I get it, if I get it, right? This one right here, of course, is mandatory for me, as I'm a big fan of this band. I pick up all their albums as they're released, at least since I've been a fan. We have the newest album, Utgard, by Enslaved. I'm not, as I've said before, I'm not super into, like, a lot of their cover art for me is just kind of a swing and a miss. I don't know. This one's kind of cool, I guess you could say. But yeah. Haven't listened to it yet. I just got it. This came out on Nuclear Blast Records. from what I've heard and what I've read, this is a very, very proggy album. Maybe even proggier than they have been in recent years, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any expectations. You know, I like modern Enslaved. I like, their incorporation of super proggy elements. You know, their nods to 70s prog and space rock and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm on board for pretty much everything Enslaved do and have done. On their more modern albums. So yeah, I'm stoked to listen to it. Love the band. Love their current sound. Just as much as I love their early black metal stuff, I gotta say. We'll get that out of the way. And as I showed in my last video, I've kind of succumbed to some of the death metal hype of the last couple of years. Some bands that I've ignored because of the hype, until I decided, you know what, that's kind of fucking ridiculous. Let's get an album from these guys and let's give it a proper go, which is how it should be. So in my last video I was talking about like Skeletal Remains and Ulthar. This time I picked up the newest album from Necrot. Death metal out of Oakland, California. Still haven't listened to it yet, but as you probably already know, you've probably heard this band, but they've just garnered a shitload of hype the last couple of years, and like I said, I kind of avoided them for that reason, but I saw those albums in stores and I was just like, fuck it, I can't just write a band off without having kind of delved into their work. It's not fair, and it's kind of fucking childish. So yeah, got the new Necrot album, excited to listen to it. Maybe if I do a end of year list, maybe it'll make it on there, we'll see. So those are the only two like 2020 studio albums I've bought, but I have a couple 2020 releases that are reissues. This one, I think this came out this year. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'm sorry. But this is the only only album from Dio that I've never owned. I used to hate this album, but after kind of picking it up, I've been listening to it again, and it's not as bad as I remember. I actually kind of like it. It's not going to be one of my favorite Dio albums, but I like it way more than I remember. I remember not liking it at all, which is strange that I would buy it, but I'm glad I did buy it because I like it more now than I did before. I think I just said that like 9 times, but we have Angry Machines. This is a mid-90s album from Dio. I can't remember when it came out, 93 or 95 or I don't know, something like that. This is a kind of one of those cool digibook, double disc releases. Nice presentation, very nice presentation, man. 2 discs, like I said. The second disc is, I think it's live. Yeah, it's from the Angry Machines tour, 97. So yeah. This is the one Dio album, for me at least, that I think really stands out from almost everything he's done. It is in that, I guess it's kind of comparable to Strange Highways, but I feel like it's even a little different. I much prefer Strange Highways to this album, but, it's Dio kind of trying to sound a little bit more modern. It's very dark and very heavy, way less kind of traditional metal sounding, than the earlier Dio stuff. Sorry about the lighting, by the way. I'll work on that, but I didn't want to deal with it. I wanted to record this video regardless of the lighting issues. So, in addition to that, I was also super stoked to pick this up because I'm totally tired of this band, of what they're doing currently, but I do like their early black metal stuff, and I'm talking about Poland's Behemoth and The Forest's Dream Eternally. This is an EP from the early 90s that's pretty hard to get in its original formats. So yeah, Metal Blade Records put this out also on a really nice digibook, kind of like that Dio album. It's got 2 discs, so it's got the original EP and then it's got a disc of bonus material. Metal Blade just knocked it out of the park with this release right here. Very cool looking CDs and lots of liner notes and interviews. There's a nice kind of built-in booklet here, and there's got to be at least like 20 or 30 pages. So I haven't read them all yet, but $15, man. I couldn't pass this down. Like I said, I really like Behemoth's early. I mean, dude, in the early '90s, they were a second wave black metal band. Yeah, they turned into kind of a boring, black death metal band. And I'll admit, I like some of their modern, some of their modern work, but some of it is just, some of it's just way overrated. The main dude in this band, Nergal, he's turned into a fucking asshole, attention whore. I can't stand the guy, but he is talented, and I do like the early Behemoth stuff. So, really, really happy to find that. Really happy to have it in my collection. I also have 2 albums from 2019. Picked up this promo copy from my record store of the self-titled Saint Vitus album from last year. Came out on Season of Mist Records. Haven't listened to it yet. I don't have a lot of Saint Vitus in my collection. I have one of their earlier albums back when they were on SST Records. I've never been a massive Saint Vitus fan, but I saw this album for $6 and I figured, hey, let's fucking give it a listen. It's at least going to be worth that. So, not a big Doom guy either, but when I do listen to Doom, I do like the early. Saint Vitus are one of the original Doom bands. Along with like Pentagram and Trouble and Candlemass. They were a Doom band before there was a Doom scene. They're one of the OG Doom bands. And for that, I have to give them credit. And I do like some Doom. I just don't like a lot of it. Also picked up this John Anderson of Yes fame solo album, Thousand Hands, Chapter 1. Don't know anything about it. I'm assuming it's going to be a prog album. Not that John Anderson hasn't, dabbled in other genres, but there's like a million musicians that worked on this album, which I think is cool. I'm stoked to listen to it. Like I said, I'm assuming it's a prog album. It looks like it'd be a prog album, but I don't know. It could be anything. It could be fucking spoken word. I don't know. Doubtful, considering. Look at all this is the list of musicians. I know you're not going to be able to read that, but you can see it's a lot. So, hell of a collaboration in the very least. And I'm a massive Yes fan, and I like John Anderson. He's not in Yes anymore as of the last couple of years, so he's just, been doing solo shit. Stoked to hear it. This is not a 2019 release, but this is the final new release that I bought out of the remainder of the stack. And out of the early High on Fire stuff, in fact, this is the debut High on Fire album. I haven't ever owned it before. The Art of Self-Defense. It's a very dark cover art, so even in person it's hard to see. So you're not going to see it very well on my camera with shitty lighting, but yeah, The Art of Self-Defense. I do not remember when it originally came out. Yeah, I'm not sure. But this is after the dissolving of, or the original dissolving of Sleep. Matt Pike went and formed High on Fire. It was him and 2 other dudes, not from Sleep. This is a digipack. Came out on Southern Lord. Not a media book, but still a pretty sturdy digipack. It's got a very nice booklet with lots of pictures and liner notes. Like I said, it's a re-release. Stoked to have it. I haven't listened to this album in a long time. I think I much prefer High on Fire's second album, Surrounded by Thieves, but nonetheless, this is a good album, and I'm excited to get reacquainted. Man, I'm sorry about that lighting. I really should have brought a lamp in here for this, but I think the video's turning out okay, so whatever. I don't get a ton of views anyways. I don't think anyone's going to be crying about this. So, these are some random record store pickups from last week. Also, a CD I got in a trade with my buddy Andy. A lot of you guys know him as well. I got this Doom, Total Doom compilation from Peaceville. Never owned any Doom stuff, but I'm a big fan of the Peaceville label. I'm not a big punk or crust, or even a grind guy. So I've heard a little bit of Doom, but I don't even remember what they sound like. So yeah, I'm excited to give this a listen. He was also a kind gentleman and threw in this fine copy of Now 15. Fuck you, Andy. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. I don't throw it at somebody, I guess. Okay, and like I said, yeah, the rest of these are just random finds. Some that I was surprised to find, some that I was less surprised to find, but grabbed them anyways because they were all like $3. I got Bad Religion, The Process of Belief. As you might know, I'm not a huge punk guy, but I love Bad Religion. I've never had this album before. Oh yeah, and so this is a used copy, so whoever sold it, this came with a ticket stub, which is cool, but I mean, that's only kind of cool. Ticket stubs are cool when you actually went to the concert, so yeah, I don't know. It's still cool, I guess. This came out in 2002, Epitaph Records. I think Bad Religion are always good. Their early stuff is fantastic and legendary, but I think their more recent stuff is good too. This album I already have. I know I have it on vinyl, and I probably have it on CD as well. But it was $1, so I couldn't just leave it sitting there. It's my favorite band of all time. If it turns out I already have this on CD, I'll just send this to a buddy or whatever. But Signals by Rush, one of my favorite Rush albums, and this album is in my favorite era of Rush, which is the 1980 through like 80 through 85-ish is my favorite era. And this came out in 82, same year I was born. Fucking great album. It's got some of Rush's best songs. It's just fantastic. Like I said, I'm 90% sure I already have that on CD, so I'll send that out to a buddy if that's the case. This is a band that I like a lot. This is it's definitely not one of their best albums, but I think it's been kind of unfairly shit on. I don't think it's that bad of an album. Man, I can't see the back. It's really dark. I don't know. This came out in the 90s. We got I Hear Black by Overkill. This came out when they were signed to Atlantic Records, and they were signed to a big label. Yeah, there's some groove elements, but I think it's a very solid album. I honestly don't think Overkill have ever put out a bad album. In fact, I probably like this more than their last couple albums, which, let's be honest, have been pretty good, but I've been getting kind of bored of some of their last couple releases. I Hear Black, I think it's pretty good. Like I said, a lot of people say it sucks, but I'm not really on board with that. This next album, I've owned this for a long time, but I lost the case. So I've had the CD sitting around, so I just thought it was $1, so I thought I'd rebuy it to have the case yet again. Debut album by Rainbow, back when they called it Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. This is a great album. I mean, it was my introduction to the band. I was already a massive Dio fan, but I gotta say, to this day, this is one of my least favorite Rainbow albums. I much prefer almost everything that came after this, which is saying a lot. Because it is such a good album, but I really think they outdid themselves. Obviously, the other Dio stuff is much better than this, but I even like the Joe Lynn Turner albums. I think those are great, and the Graham Bonnet album. I just, I like those. These days I seem to reach for those more often than this one. but it's still, it's a classic. It's an absolute classic. Mandatory. You gotta own it. I was super stoked and shocked to just kind of see this sitting around for $3. But it's the debut full length by Toxic Holocaust. You know, kind of punk black thrash band out of the U.S. Pretty popular. Back when it was a one-man band. You know, Joel Grind, he was a solo guy for years and years. He's only really recently kind of added band members to Toxic. It was a solo effort for the longest time. This is a licensed through Nuclear War Now Records, but this is the Gloom Records version. I always thought it was cool how the cover art has, it's got this zombie guy, and he's wearing a Rigor Mortis t-shirt, if you can see that. Nice nod to, one of the most underrated thrash bands of all time, Rigor Mortis out of Texas. I'm a big fan, so that was cool. Really happy to have this again because I used to have it, got rid of it years ago, and I always regretted getting rid of it. So now I have it again, and I'm keeping it forever this time. This is the debut album from New England's Only Living Witness, Prone Mortal Form. I don't know if this is an original pressing. This came out on Century Media. So this is a kind of a hard band to pin down. They started out in the early 90s, if I remember correctly, because I haven't heard their early single and demo stuff. I haven't heard that. But I have, from what I've been told, they were basically a hardcore band, New England hardcore band. So Pat and or Jason, if you're watching this, you'll probably be able to comment on that. So yeah, that's what they're in the early 90s, but this would come out a couple years later, and I think there are still definitely some hardcore touches to the music, but they kind of became more of a I don't know, I never really know what to call them. I think there's some hints of thrash, some hints of sludgy doom, and even maybe a little bit of grunge, that was kind of popular at the time. A little bit of Alice in Chains and Soundgarden in there too, maybe, I don't know. Like I said, this band's always been hard to pin down. They had a second album as well that I really like, and I need to get that. But yeah, man, this is definitely kind of an underrated and fairly unknown gem. There's the singer, his name is Jonah Jenkins, and that guy can sing his balls off, man. And not just as a heavy metal singer, but just the dude can really carry a tune. One of the more underrated vocalists I think that really has ever existed. Fantastic singer. Underrated. I wish the guy had done more. His recorded output is not huge. And last but not least, super happy to find this one just sitting there. I'm a big fan of this band, and I've never owned this album. This is 1989's Nothing Face by Voidbot. Yeah, what can I say about this album, man? My favorite album of Voidbot is probably Dimension Atroce, but this album is fairly similar to that. Came out around that time, and yeah, that's kind of the era of Voidbot that I'd say I like the most. That late 80s shit, man. They were just untouchable back then. Yeah, just absolutely untouchable. Technical, progressive thrash metal. We all know Voidbot. I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to sound super educated on the matter, but that's all I got, guys. Like I said, sorry about the lighting issues, but when I show things, it doesn't look bad. You just can't really see my face. You don't really need to see that anyways. So yeah, talk to me about all this stuff, especially the movie. If anyone's seen Shiver, let's talk about it. Like I said, I'm going to watch it tonight, but I haven't seen it yet, but I'm liking what I have read. So Talk to me about whatever. Talk to me about your life. Let's just talk. Other than that, Louis says hello. He's right behind me. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk soon. Cheers.